Welcome to today's webinar with Katana and Prospect CRM. And today we're going to be talking about modernizing manufacturing. So first of all, myself, I am Andrew Ardron. I'm the CEO and founder of ProspectSoft. And for the ProspectSoft customers here, I guess you'll know who I am. For some of the Katana customers and prospects, probably not. So we run a CRM software application, which is closely integrated with Katana. Obviously, you can use Katana without Prospect CRM, and you can use Prospect CRM without Katana. But when they come together, they streamline both your sales activity and your manufacturing activities. And today I'm joined by Mark from Katana. Mark is going to do most of the hard work today. So without too much further ado, I'll hand over to Mark and he can talk to us about modernizing manufacturing. Mark.
Okay, I'll get into it. So Mark, head up tech partnerships here at Katana. Been in this field for about 5 years now. And yeah, really excited to be going through today's session with the team here. Just a little bit about Katana, just as an overview for those who are new to us on the prospect side or just prospects in general as well, because I think we have like a nice slew of a lot of different attendees coming here today. So we've been around since 2017. We're a modern ERP system, but specifically within the manufacturing arena. So we help wholesalers, we help e-commerce brands, along with kind of in between the two in terms of managing your back-end inventory, back-end order management, back-end production processes. Shopify Plus certified, lots of funding. And yeah, we work with 1,300 customers today, and we're growing fast. So yeah, that's just a little bit really high level in terms of a bit about us right now. And in terms of what we're going to be focusing on today, there's 4 main areas. The first is a quick overview around where ERP is headed. So there's been a lot that's happened over the last couple of decades, but especially over the last couple of years in terms of the needs and requirements, and specifically for manufacturing brands. The next one is just around considerations for selecting your tech stack. So we've got a lot of history here in terms of how customers kind of view and look at different technology, and we've got some feedback and thoughts in terms of what we've seen to be successful. We're going to go through looking to automate your approach, the importance around it, and then specifically how Katana and Prospect can help here. And then we're going to leave some time for Q&A. So high level should be 20-25 minutes at most in terms of the first part, and then we'll leave some time for questions at the end. So where is ERP headed? It's a great question. I think probably what's really interesting, and I should have mentioned this before too, we work specifically with SMB brands in terms of our target segment and who we work closely with. And what we started to see is this massive shift, and specifically from now having the ability for SMB brands to have the abilities that enterprise customers have had before. So this whole notion around not having tech, having this fragmented geographic kind of by industry, by company kind of fragmentation, that piece has really started to shift. So everything from the shifting to the cloud, from offsite premise solutions like Katana, to potentially having things that are very industry specific. So you look at kind of a modernized brewery where you might have been using a platform like Ecos before, and now having the ability to kind of segue off that into more specific solutions like a Katana. And then in terms of along with that, what we're seeing is instead of having this need for kind of a traditional ERP, which would include your accounting, which include your reporting, which would include kind of everything under one roof and not have a lot of flexibility within it, we're now seeing a new modernized approach. And this biggest piece is now you can kind of use these tools that are very specific within their areas, and you kind of mix and match within it. So whether it's ProspectSoft for your CRM, Xero for your accounting, Shopify for your e-com, all of this now allows you a lot more flexibility depending on your business goals and your business needs. And for an ERP, kind of a traditional one, to be able to kind of handle all these things and stay updated and stay on top of all the things that the customer is looking for is really tricky. And this is kind of the new approach, along with just having like an open API and having the general ability to have flexibility, not just with software, but have third-party developers to be able to kind of act and create specific workflows for your business. So what we're continuing to see is that manufacturing industry is also presents quite a large size of the global GDP at 17%. And for manufacturers specifically, not that this is still not happening right now in terms of outsourced manufacturing, we have lots of customers that are kind of in that mode right now. But we are also seeing from the shift from maybe, doing all your production outsourcing from China, a lot more customer demand and ability for business owners to be able to actually shift some or all their production more locally. And also this kind of shift towards what customers are demanding in terms of being able to customize the actual solution set that they're looking for. So not having just a standardized product set that is uniform, but also being able to kind of customize product or solution set to be able to accommodate both kind of workflows. And then on top of all that, I kind of mentioned this before too, there's lots of different challenges in terms of what SMB manufacturers are typically seeing out in market right now. Some of them, again, is around globalization, where you now have, bigger brands that are able to kind of react quicker and have the tool sets and needs to be able to kind of get into market. And, being able to kind of have that same ability now becomes really important. I mentioned before too, in terms of like the consumerism and their expectations in terms of everything from, local shipping and kind of being able to kind of react within the market itself, and everything from the automation piece, which we're going to go through. But the combination of being able to kind of just leverage everything within the solution set that you're using right now, everything from there to being able to manage that inventory, raw material goods, production capabilities, and have kind of everything streamlined is incredibly important. And these are kind of the things that we're starting to see from SMB manufacturers on our side of things. So with all these trends, there's a lot to consider when selecting your tech stack. And we see this kind of come across all the time. And this is some of the feedback and things that we've started to realize on our side and talking to different owners around. The first theme is the importance around really thinking about what's actually the core challenge for us. And I'll say this specifically with an ERP system where, if this system hits 80 to 90% of my core challenges, then this solution probably is going to make sense for me. And then to be able to leverage tools like Prospect as an example, that's probably the best way to kind of approach kind of the nouveau way of looking at building out your tech stack. So for an ERP, it might be, okay, I need to manage my finished and raw material goods. I sell on multiple channels and marketplaces right now, so I need all those orders to come in. Maybe I do some manual orders as well on the wholesale side, or I just do wholesale orders and I have to make sure that those orders are kind of coming through and flowing through properly. I want to have an accurate sense around all the costing that are happening in real time. So I got to make sure that's also kind of set the right way. And versus, again, the nice to haves where it's like, okay, I need to really understand, my customers and have task management and be able to kind of have multiple stakeholders within that company and know when I should be potentially sending out a quote. All that can be handled by potentially a different solution on your CRM side as an example. So these are the things that have really kind of shifted and changed where it's like, what is core to me and, the business functions and functionality that I need within an ERP, and then look to segue to other solution sets outside of that. The next one, which seems obvious, but we always get comments around it here at Katana. But in general, seeing lots of software over the last couple of years too, is that user experience is critical, just because you're going to have multiple stakeholders using the software, and being able to train them up on it, being able to actually have reasonable implementation timelines around it, and just ongoing ease of use for new team members that might be joining. This piece is actually something that sometimes isn't thought through well, but it can make a huge difference in terms of the selection criteria. So this is something that definitely should be considered through. And then the last piece is going full ERP before you're ready. So oftentimes You might look at something. This kind of goes back to the 80-90% rule, where you might choose the full ERP where it's like, okay, I get everything I want, but the ability to kind of get going right away to get everything kind of connected through, work through. It can be a 6-month to a 1-year implementation timeline. And then back to that kind of maintenance and ongoing upkeep engagement. Typically, what we find is a lot of third-party vendors have to get involved in terms of helping to kind of continue to evolve with you as a business owner. So you have to be really, in a real good spot to know that, okay, full ERP, I'm making $50-100 million a year, and this is kind of where we need to be right now in terms of like the customization piece that's required for us to kind of go with an all-in-one solution. So oftentimes what we find is a lot of customers coming in being like, no, we actually makes sense to start here. And then, potentially as we expand through, if the technology or the vendor that I'm using right now is kind of outdates what we need, then at that point, maybe start to consider going full ERP. So we talked about this, but this is also, incredibly important in terms of how you think about automating your approach. And we see this happen all the time where it's like, the spend to automate. And there's all sorts of graphs and things out there here, but, by spending the upfront time to automate the backend processes around how you're using technology right now, the headcount, the ability to kind of ensure that you're not missing out on large orders or large areas where you could be missing out on, a batch run or something that you need to supply to be able to kind of hit the quota and forecast that you're looking for. All of this is stuff where if you set it up properly, it can actually make, hundreds, thousands of dollars of difference over time. So can't stress the importance of, spending on your technology and the importance around doing that if you're not doing it right now. And even not looking to hire a consultant that can kind of help you through and kind of go through all these considerations is another recommendation that we see often some of our best brands using right now. And then with that, this is kind of like the new way of looking at, modernizing and customizing that tech stack. So being able to use an accounting platform to be able to ship out invoices, being able to handle all those orders from different sources, like from Shopify and Amazon. On the fulfillment side, if you're not doing it in-house right now, be able to ship those orders to the 3PL that you might be using, and to that warehouse, and to manage all your suppliers in kind of one specific area on the PO side. And then obviously on the CRM side, be able to really target and do a good job of handling your customers, because a leaky bucket is not what you want, and retention is huge, and be able to kind of be able to leverage that is massive. So this is kind of the new way of how we're seeing a lot of customers coming in and being able to accommodate the workflows that they're looking for, and building that customizable tech stack is a big part of it. So with that, how can Katana help in terms of modernizing this manufacturing? There's a lot of things that our tool set does. So this is kind of like very high level overview, and afterwards as well, you'll get our contact details in terms of being able to kind of go through the product in more detail with our team. But we also have a question area. So feel free to use that as well as we go. But in terms of our features and benefits, it goes across the board. So back to that live inventory management, in terms of the real-time master planning, so you're able to see kind of what's in the queue and be able to prioritize that depending on specific orders that you might be having right now. Having that open API, having that end-to-end traceability. So if you're a food and beverage manufacturer, being able to actually know the batches and be able to kind of go back in time if you need to. And then having kind of total control over your floor shop app in terms of being able to see what's actually happening and be able to kind of track live costing in terms of what materials were used and hours used by your team on specific production runs. So going into a little bit more detail around each one of these, again, being able to see what's in stock right now, seeing what's actually committed in terms of sales orders, being able to see when you should actually start to create a reorder point in terms of purchasing, and then what's expected in terms of what you already have out in inventory, and then anything that's in excess, anything that's kind of creeping towards that zero mark, or potentially wouldn't be in a negative because of the run that you've just done, being able to see that in real time, be able to shift and sort and actually make the right calls, having all that within kind of one viewpoint is where we come in. And one of the biggest issues out there is trying to do our best to avoid those stockouts, and that's where Katana can definitely help. In terms of the production scheduling and resource management in one place, kind of the same thing here, where you can make very accurate decisions. You can prioritize which production run you want to take at certain areas, have those tasks kind of automated through so you know who's doing what, and be able to see where inventory levels are currently at in one viewpoint. The other piece within Katana too is that you can automatically shift on the priority of specific orders, and that will actually shift the materials and what you have in stock accordingly. So it actually enables you to make very quick, smart decisions on the fly within the Katana interface. In terms of floor level control, from scheduling to task prioritization, yeah, this is great because this actually enables the operators on the floor to be able to be assigned and reassigned specific jobs within a production run. They can actually track the time that they start and stop a particular task, and actually showcase the actual quantity versus the planned item quantity that's actually produced within a production run. And then within that as well, have the actual kind of task notes. So if something might have inhibited potential production, that also kind of gets automated through from on the floor, kind of right into that web interface for the main manager that might be running point on the operation side. And then, the other pieces, two other pieces that we're talking through today is just from being able to track batches, material expiration dates, and ensure that quality assurance is there from an end-to-end traceability perspective. You can track through when expiration dates are supposed to occur, and it gives all teams kind of access to be able to know from stock purchase on the raw material side to finished good where everything kind of came from. And if you have to do a recall, you can actually do that within the Katana system. And then, this other piece is actually big too, where, in terms of being able to identify those specific orders, whether you're doing just wholesale, if you're doing a combination of wholesale and e-commerce right now, just being able to track that availability of what's in stock. If you've got the materials, if you can actually produce it, if the production is actually happening, if delivery is out on that specific order, and if something's prioritized through to be able to shift that through, you can do that all within our system. So everything's kind of easily managed and traceable. So how do we win together though? So we went back to tech stack, and I was like trying to think of like the easiest way to kind of showcase this with the team here. There's a lot of ways to kind of show where our two solutions work well together. So we created 3 quick slides to kind of showcase that. The first one is just why push us together. It's like I'd almost look at like front office, back office, where you have certain technology that just does a lot better in terms of the front office piece versus potentially on the back office side of certain things. And here, on the inventory and order management side of things, and the production side of things, we're great, and we've got our ability to have customers and suppliers and what have you within our system. But in terms of actually being able to action it and do kind of very strategic pieces on our side, and have sales reps kind of be in there as well to be able to kind of push quotes and kind of know which areas you should be focusing on, whether it's with customer retention, increasing the order value, just creating happier customers, improving just your overall business reporting. The feature set of what Prospect is able to do enables all that. And because of that, the solution sets together just make a lot of sense in terms of we just focus in on our expertise in terms of the inventory, order management, production side of things, and in terms of just managing your customers and being more efficient and getting more customer lifetime value and finding those sweet spots where it's like, if we do certain areas and have that automation against it, we can actually be more profitable just through who we got right now. That's kind of exactly what we're seeing our customers needing and looking for. So in terms of how the integration actually works, really, really high level, but it's basically allowing a sync from the product customer side, sales order side, and inventory side. So when you initially connect through, this is all going to connect through from Katana into Prospect. But then afterwards, in terms of having these updates stay updated within Prospect, that actually occurs through the current sync. And then when sales orders are being pulled through, or a quote from prospect that's actually going to be pulled through from Katana. So you've got visibility as to whether you've got the order currently available and you can actually just ship out, or if you actually need to produce a run against that specific order. So really high level, this is how it works on our side of things. Everything stays in sync and everything is pretty manageable. So especially on inventory levels, the sales reps on prospect side, or the team using prospect side right now, will be able to have total visibility into it. And then on the production side, your operations team would have total visibility as to what orders are coming through. And then this is kind of my favorite that came in from one of our joint customers right now, Wabanaki Maple, production of maple syrup, and really does show kind of that separation piece of different teams, leveraging the software and being able to use both solution sets just very smartly. So from the production side, again, on a batch basis, and being able to manage the production costs, that's where Katana comes in. And then when looking at CRMs and being able to actually have multiple contacts in different roles, have be able to task within the system and manage all the follow-ups and ensure that customers are happy. All that made a lot more sense through Prospect CRM. So, and then the different teams between facility and the sales team being able to leverage both solution sets. So this is probably your classic case of where that integration-led approach, that kind of partnership-led approach, really works well for wholesale manufacturing brands. So yeah, this is the joint value proposition that we're hoping to continue to bring together and continue to push forward as we go. So that is the slide deck as we have it so far. So I'm gonna leave some time here for some questions that we might have. I can't see the questions, so I think Jessica's going to be posting them as we go here.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, thanks for that great session. Yeah, thanks again to Zach for that really great quote on the previous slide there. It was really good to have both systems and a bit of a quote for both of us there. So thank you to Zach. Yeah, just got a couple of questions to put to you from the chat, guys, that have come through. If you are watching this live, by the way, you do still have time now to put a question in the chat or the Q&A box if you prefer. That's absolutely fine. So you have got that time now. Just the ones that have come in a moment ago. So we've got one here that says, how long approx does it take to implement Katana? Should that be a Mark question?
Okay, so on that one, yeah, so it could be anywhere from a week to, we'd say probably a couple weeks, just from beginning to end, to make sure that all your data is going to sync through and that the training piece happens on our side. On quite a few of our plans, we basically do assisted onboarding as well. So it's something whereby our team will be there to help and kind of support you through that process. And then we do have a slew of partners as well, that if you're looking for potentially specific work against our API or customizable work or further assistance, we can also get support with you through one of those partners as well. So anywhere from a week to a couple weeks is typically what we see on our side.
Cool,
Should I just jump in there and say that
Yeah.
Once you've got your Katana set up, if you're then looking to set up the CRM, actually that's a pretty straightforward job, and it's actually up and running in a few hours, because obviously we'll bring all the data that you've just spent all that time setting up in Katana. So we'll already have the customers, the product, that kind of thing all set up. So you're kind of up and running in a few hours. After that, though, it's how long is a piece of string in terms of the amount of reconfiguration you want to do and optimization and things, and writing reports and stuff. But again, we have an onboarding team to help with that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. One actually for Andy. So I've noticed that there are a couple of CRMs in the Katana marketplace that connect to Katana. Just looking for a bit of a summary on what makes Prospect different compared to those other options that Katana has integration to.
Sure, good question. I seem to spend a lot of my time not just answering this question, but thinking about it. So yeah, I mean, the CRM market is incredibly busy. There are, I mean, I'm sure if you tried to count them up, there would be hundreds, possibly even thousands of CRM systems to choose from. And we all know, some of the most widely used systems Salesforce, HubSpot, Pipedrive, etc. The one big thing that sets Prospect apart from all of those is that, if you can be in almost any business and you can implement Salesforce or HubSpot, because they're pretty generic CRMs that do general CRM functionality. If you're looking at Prospect and you're in a services industry, or financial services, real estate, then you really should not implement Prospect CRM. It is not a good CRM for people in a services industry. That is because we have written very specific features to help people who sell physical products, and particularly selling physical products business to business in a kind of repeat sales cycle. So if you're selling the t-shirts you make to retailers and they're restocking every week, or you're selling the any kind of product you make to business regular buyers of your product, then we do a lot of analysis on that and segmentation of the customers, so that who your champions are, who your at-risk customers are, who's churning, people who've been buying regularly on a set pattern and then stop buying, and we can tell you all of those things because we've written CRM that's specifically for business to business sales of physical products.
Thanks, Andy. Just another one for you to take, Mark, here. So is there a target group / category of focus for Katana?
That's a great question. We're kind of agnostic in the best of ways. So we're not fully focused on any specific category. Typically, obviously, there's some level of manufacturing, outsourced manufacturing, which we also help to accommodate now on terms of workflows. But category-wise, everything from health and beauty, food and beverage, jewelry, accessories, furniture, home decor, like across the board. We've got kind of customers across multiple segments right now, and that's going to continue to be our approach. If we see trending, we might change it, but for now, it's kind of the same kind of premise that Andy said around like physical goods. That's kind of the biggest piece on our side, and some level of manufacturing.
Yeah, and I guess that's the real thing, isn't it, Mark? You talk about ERP a few times during the presentation, and ERP means a lot of things. And some businesses are just literally buying stuff in, warehousing it, and selling it back out. And if that's all you're doing, you probably don't need Katana. But if you're making something or getting somebody else to make something for you through outsourcing, either of those two, or actually a combination of those, then that's where Katana really comes in, because you've got that process of actually making the goods, not just buying and selling them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it on the questions for now, so I will leave it there. Pass it over to you guys. Thank you.
I guess, and Jess, we're going to be sending out a recording for anybody who's attended, or in fact for the people who've missed this as well. So and we'll include some contact details in there in case anybody's got any follow-up questions that you think of just after the webinar ends. You can then send them back to us.
Yeah, it always seems to happen. Some people are a little shy, and then you send another note, and then you get like 3 or 4 back. So don't be shy after.
Okay.
Cool. No, thanks for this, Andy and Jessica, for setting this up. This is great.
Yeah, and thank you to all the attendees for coming, and hopefully we'll speak to some of you again soon.
Thanks very much for joining. Cheers.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.